Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there in the Internetville online. Welcome to another episode of West Coast Supercars and Classics. Today we're looking at a very interesting project which is just happening in my neighborhood across the street, literally. You may see the plastic behind me here. Look here. It appears to be a crime scene or some kind of Dexter lair, you know, where the victims are taken apart, but actually it's just James's work area here. And this is Mr. James Renfrew here. Ladies and gentlemen, James has kindly offered to show us around his project today. And this is going to be done, I'm sure it's going to be a very quick project, but as you can see here, those of you who are very sharp can see that this is the outline of a Porsche 914. This is not going to be an ordinary 914 once the whole thing's finished. So without further ado, let me introduce you to James and he can tell you a little bit about the project.
Hi everyone, my name is James Renfrew. I guess those who don't know, I'm in Victoria, British Columbia, and one of my dreams for maybe even since high school was to make myself a 914-6. I started off doing stuff with the local Porsche club with my 928 when I was in high school, and all the guys driving little 914s were kicking my ass around the track. So I figured I would one day want to get into something like that, and then I learned about the 914-6s, and then later I learned about the 914-6 GT cars. So this is my I've been saving projects for parts I should say, for about 10 years now. And this winter is the winter I'm starting it. So this will be my 914-6 GT. It's based on a 75 914.
Where are you at with it right now? Looks like you've taken it apart to quite a large extent already here.
Yeah, as with most 914s, they don't have galvanized bodies, so they suffer from rust problems. Even the California ones rust out pretty good. So we are in rust mode and sheet metal mode right now. We're still doing disassembly and getting ready to put it on the rotisserie. This
basically is all taken apart, but you've got the suspension still on here, I see, or some of it.
Yeah, the suspension is still on the car. Pretty much most of it is all on the car except for the wheels.
But everything else is gone. You've taken out
everything. Yeah.
Taken apart the trunk, the motor's out.
Yes. Yeah, the original 4-cylinder is out, and the transmission's out, so all the drivetrain is out. Most of the interior is out. I'm still doing some measurements and some work on some air conditioning ideas I have for the interior, so the dashboard is still in it to make sure I can size everything. But yeah, we're tearing down all of the patchwork. There's been some patchwork, sheet metal work over the years to fix some of the rust.
Let's talk about some of the repairs.
Yes.
Scare quotes.
Here, well, let's spin around here. I'll get past you here.
Yeah. Okay.
So when I bought the car, it all looked pretty good for rust. But what I didn't know is someone at some point had taken a replacement panel and just dropped it on top of the original rusty sheet metal and just plastered it with body filler, and it was just a mess. So
nobody would do such a thing like that. That's absolutely fiendish. No.
So
anyway, that was a bit of a surprise because you didn't notice it.
Yeah, the car did appear to be fairly rust-free when I bought it, which is the reason I bought this car, because it seemed to be relatively low on rust. And
so they basically put that piece in here and welded it.
Yeah, well, you can see the old line along here. I've since removed that piece and removed some of the original trunk, and I'm waiting on replacement sheet metal to arrive to figure out how far back I'll be cutting the original stuff.
You can see this is completely eaten through here, which is typical for these cars, right?
Yeah, it's more so along the back tail light area, so it's a little unusual on there. Not sure how that happened. Probably the carpets and stuff. The trunk seals go bad and they get water in the trunk, and then the carpets just keep all that in the up against the metal.
See, there's a little bit here too.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that last time I was here.
Yeah, I have another 914 donor car that someone's going to cut me a piece of this back area out, so I'll weld that into this car to clean up that rust there. And
Are there a lot of different configurations of this in the model years? Like, there's some small changes, right?
Yeah, the in certain years there was up to 3 different variants of what you could go down to the factory, at least to Porsche, and order. There's the base model, then there was the appearance group model, which came with like chrome bumpers and some fancier pieces inside, but just basically appearance package items. Most of the appearance cars also came with a 2-liter 4-cylinder, but there was 3 engines: a 1.7, a 1.8, and a 2-liter. And then if you had some extra money to blow, you could buy a 914-6, which was an original offering from Porsche, with a 2-liter 911 6-cylinder engine, which they eventually discontinued. And I think the popular belief is it cost about, I think, 40,000 less than the 911 at the time, but was nearly as fast as the 911. So they didn't want the 914-6 competing directly against their flagship car.
And this, as Porsche experts would tell you, is not a new story with Porsche, because the whole rivalry, the 911 has become like this stalwart flagship for them. Doesn't matter what they do, they cannot seem to evolve past the 911, because they're stubborn Porsche-philes out there just love the 911 so much.
Yes.
And the same goes for the Cayman and Boxster models that came out fairly recently, like in 1999. You know, Porsche experts have long since kind of hinted at this kind of corporate conspiracy to keep the Cayman line always underperforming the 911 line.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Even if
it's not a coincidence.
Yeah, exactly. But also now, you know, Porsche's just come out with, in the last couple of years, with the Cayman GT4 and the Boxster Spider, which have that 4-liter 911 engine in them from the factory.
Yeah, there are those limited edition run cars that they'll do stuff like that, but usually the numbers on those cars, both the quantities and the pricing, you may as well have bought a 911 anyways then.
Yeah. So, the latest version, like the GT4 RS, I know I'm getting a little off topic, but just to go back to this idea of ultimate Porsches, the GT4 RS was just compared with GT3 RS recently. I was at Top Gear, I think it was. And there's no way that the GT4 RS is anywhere near as quick as the GT3. That's a much quicker car. It weighs a little bit more, but it has a lot more downforce. So I think what they wisely chose to do finally is they've created 2 different branches of really interesting cars, and they just have a different flavor, and they're not really supposed to be numbers comparable. So I think it's a good solution, rather than saying, okay, well, this is the best of our cars. They just say, well, this one is different. Yes. And you can choose which different flavor you want. Yeah. And in the case of the 914 here that we're talking about, the 914-6 for you it's a bucket list car to have in the garage, right? Because it's just a special car. Yeah, the build concept for this car is I do some light autocross, and wouldn't mind doing some more PCA track events, but we don't get many PCA track events on the island here since we're pretty small. Right. But ultimately, I'm getting closer to retirement, thank God. So I want to take this down into the States and do parade even on the East Coast. So I'm looking for good high horsepower, reliable, streetable horsepower. With all the creature comforts. I want to do heated seats, good heater system in it, air conditioning, and be able to drive it and enjoy it all day long with some light track use. Now, James is very handy and doing some really impressive work here, but I mean, realistically, James is almost going to have to be retired to keep up with all the projects he's got planned here, because like there's a list of stuff that you like to get involved with. Like, can we go around and look at the rest of the rust before I forget? Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at what you got. The shame list here. Yeah. Well, in the cabin here, maybe I'll go around to the other side. Yeah, do that. I don't have the biggest shop here. I have another shop that I use for storing some of my toys. This is where I work on most of my toys at home here. But the floor pan is a usual place where these to rust out, but the floor pan looked really good on this car, so I thought I was doing pretty good when I was buying it. But there was some
patch that's gone in here, and the outer firewall and the inner firewall, which I've cut off. You can see all the spot rivets here. I've cut off the inner firewall for strength, but it was rotten all along the floor plan.
Oh, I see.
And
again, carpets and wetness.
Carpets and wet. Yeah, the water comes in there and holds it in there.
Yeah.
At least on the inside. I'm not sure why the outside rotted out. Maybe it was just because of the water escaping from inside the cabin. So yeah, I have new sheet metal coming for these firewall pieces here to be replaced. Just prepping it all. It should be arriving this week if UPS is good to me.
Nice cross member here.
Yeah. So there's a few places where the chassis, this is a unibody car, so it has these boxes on either side that make part of the frame, as well as these cross members here. I do have a new half of cross member. Someone's mangled a little bit of the driver's side with some old repairs, so it's a little difficult to repair, so I think I'll just cut it out and replace it. And I also have a new, they call it a short pan, so it's a part of the floor pan from about here all the way to the firewall. So I'll replace that section in there to make sure it's all nice and clean as well.
What's this little
doodad there?
Here? Yeah, what's that?
Well, that is what is left of the emergency brake cable tubes.
Yep.
So the emergency brake sits along the driver's side box there on the wall, and the cords literally come up through that channel and go into those pipes to go to the left and right rear brakes.
And these little puppies on both sides?
Oh, you don't want to know about those. Those are the infamous heater tubes, same as Volkswagen Beetles.
Oh dear.
But yes, exhaust hot air the air is pushed over the exhaust using heater boxes, for those of you who know what heater boxes are, but boxes around your exhaust. So the Volkswagens and the 914 and even the 911s, they have fans that push air over your exhaust to heat up that air, and then it comes off of there and is pushed through channels in the body up into the dashboard. Some people say they work. I've yet to see one that works well. I find by the time the air gets up to the dashboard, it's pretty cool having run through most of the bodywork on the car. So
right. Right now.
Yeah.
There may be one or two of you out there that may not know or have forgotten that these were air-cooled cars. They still are. Air-cooled cars, right? The Beetles, all that kind of stuff, the early 911s, these things. Yeah.
Yes,
so
all air-cooled.
Heating is an interesting issue. I remember we had a Beetle, and I think it had a gas heater.
Yeah, you can get Wabatso was the common gas heater for the front of them, which... It's an interesting design. It kind of works. I'm trying to preserve as much trunk space as I can on this car, so I have some hidden secrets on this build project that I'm hoping to redo the heater system to be modernize it and make it better for heating and cooling at the end of the day.
How are we looking at the front? The front looks fairly decent on this car here.
Yeah, the front's in pretty good shape on this car, rust-wise. It doesn't seem to have been in any accidents before. There's a couple spots of concern that we have for it, but some of these channels that hold the hood gasket have corroded away in spots, and some small holes here, but those I can, it's all nice and flat metal work, so I can cut it out and just patch in some new patches there. And here you can see where those heater boxes were coming up out of the bodywork into these air directors that go into the cabin or the windshield.
I'm looking good so far. Have you decided on the eventual color and so on?
Colors, I got 3 ideas that I'm mulling over. A silver, classic silver is a classic Porsche color. Another color I've been really liking as well is a 2-tone red with a black, gloss black. But the one is gaining traction with me. This is going to be a little bit of a resto rod type of car, so it's going to have some modern features to it, like the modern engine, some modern electronics that I'm putting in it, but I want to kind of maintain a bit of a classic feel because it is an older classic car. So I've been thinking about a clay gray with a gloss black 2-tone. So a lot of the modern Porsches and Audis and other types of cars have a color scheme like that. So
we should get Gloria to do some mock-ups for you.
There you go.
She's good at that. or Mick, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to do some mock-ups of that. We should get a couple of pics to work on to put in here, so you can kind of visualize what he might have in mind, because I think those are some really interesting ideas. What's next in this project for you right now?
What's next? Yeah. Well, once the sheet metal work is done, I need to make sure all of the special features that I'm putting into this car are accounted for, because I don't want to be putting more holes into the car or mounting things to the body after I'm finished with the body and paint work. So probably dealing with all the special features that I want to do in the car. I'll be making sure those are all tied off. But one of the next steps will be it'll be going on the rotisserie. I've got my handy dandy rotisserie here, still new in the box, so we'll be getting that out soon and getting it up on the rotisserie and taking care of some of the body work underneath.
Right. Anyone speak French here? That says it's a vehicle rotisserie.
Hopefully
French.
that's compatible with German cars.
You might have to spin it the other way around, I think.
Yeah, I know sometimes French and
counterclockwise
German,
or clockwise. I'm not quite sure what it is.
French and German don't always get along.
Actually, it would be British. It would be British and European. That would be probably the big clash, right?
Yeah.
Hey, let's go over here, because there's an interesting looking lump over here.
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about this. This is a 1995 911 Carrera 4 3.6 liter twin plug 6-cylinder engine, air cooled as well. This is from a 1995 car.
Right.
This is the ideal engine, in my mind at least, for the 914 6s. They're not very common to use because these are rather expensive motors these days. So the whole 914 rolling chassis might only be worth about $10,000–$15,000. This motor alone is a $30,000 US motor. So
you were able to just sneak into somebody's garage one night, unbolt it, and take it away right before they even noticed. And you left the catalytic converter though, right?
No, I took the cats too.
Just kidding.
You know how much those things are worth?
Yeah.
No, so this is my this is right out of the 911 as it stands right now. It's still got all the motor mounts, exhaust, and everything on it. So it still needs to be stripped down.
Yeah, it's a bit of work to do. Yeah,
to go into my car. But
anything, any hot roddy stuff going into it, or is it going to stay fairly stock?
I think this engine is going to stay pretty well stocked, because they can make nearly 300 horsepower out of this engine versus the stock 80 horsepower in the 914. So I really want that stock street reliable horsepower, and I've got a lot of it already built into this engine. So we'll see. But for the first iteration of this build, I think this will be a lot of juice on it.
Oh, looks great. Well, James, I think, yeah, thanks a lot, James, for showing us around the project, the 914 6 GT project upcoming. Again, very nice of James to show us here, and we'll be following up on this. Probably the next stage, I'll bring you back in maybe 2 or 3 years, and we'll look at how James is coming along. I'm just kidding. I hope it'll be a lot sooner.
Well, I'm hoping that by this summer I'm getting through sheet metal work. So
yeah,
that's my goal.
We'll try to bring you back on regular updates, you guys. And if you have any questions about it, I'm sure some of you have done these projects, or you know somebody who's thinking about it. You know, maybe we can follow up and you know, answer some questions about the project as it goes along. And James can probably give you a lot of insight into how a project like this comes together and what sort of things come up as obstacles and issues along the way. You saw a little bit about just, you know, the unusual little repairs that had been done that have to be redone again. So that's actually quite an interesting feature, because it's not something you necessarily notice when you first get the vehicle to start the project with. So if you're thinking of something like this in the future, keep that in mind, that there may be some covered up, half done repairs, and that can add time and energy to the requirements for the project.
Yeah.
And cost. Anyway, thanks again, James. We'll see you again, hopefully in the near future. Thanks, everybody. Ciao, ciao.
Oh, don't go yet, Mark.
Oh, what?
I need your help to take some fenders off here, so you can
Sure.
you can put those guys away, and we'll go do some fenders here.
No.